Hi there, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl. Today I'm going to be finally picking my Chinese Toi Choy, and I am going to be planting some more in a different spot. When I plant, this is my second planting of the Chinese Toi Choy. I actually had it on the opposite side of this bed on my first planting. And then over in that bed, I've done a third planting of it. The Chinese Toi Choy only takes 35 days to mature to the point where you are able to pick it. This one here, it's just starting to form little flower heads on it, so I want to pick it before the flower heads actually form, and then I'm going to have to cook this up. If I don't cook it up today, I will probably be cooking it up tomorrow. So I've got my snippers here, and I'm just snipping it off at the base. I'm gonna leave the roots in the ground because then they will just decompose, and that'll add to the ground as well. So I'm just being careful about not snipping off too much. And then what I like to do is either I'll saute this with just garlic and salt and pepper, or I will actually saute it with sesame oil, garlic, ginger, and a little bit of soy sauce too. Kind of more of an Asian way of cooking. So and then I'm planning on planting some more over in another bed. I pulled out my Bloomsdale spinach and I fed that to the chickens, so they were very thankful for that. And I am planning on planting some more of the Chinese Toi Choy because it doesn't take long at all before it's ready to be able to eat. It's kind of like planting radishes, really. It doesn't take long. And we actually my sister-in-law and I picked some radishes last night. And so that was nice. And she picked some beets too. She wanted beet greens. And I just said, well, take the beets as well because I need to thin them out to make room for the smaller ones to get bigger. So that's what we did. And I got just one little baby one left. So I'm gonna take this tag out because I'm gonna end up moving it over to this other bed to plant. And I'm just gonna leave these roots in the ground, and like I say, they will just decompose. Maybe I'll give these little leaves to my chickens and they will love that. So let's move over to this other bed over here, and I'm just going to kind of mix this up a little bit, and then I'm gonna make a little row in here. And I'm gonna find my Chinese Toi Choy. Now this Chinese Toi Choy, I actually ran out of seed for this last year. So what I decided to do was I let this flower and go to seed, and they produce little pods, and when you dry them out, you just break the pods open. It has all these little tiny seeds in there, and that's how I ended up collecting this Chinese Toi Choy. And like I say, this is going to be my fourth planting of the Chinese Toi Choy, and I still have like hundreds of seeds. I even gave some so Jamie has an uncle in Vancouver, and he has given us some plants. He gave us a fig plant, and he also gave us some type of squash. I'm not exactly sure of the name of the squash, but I have it planted down below where I have my brassicas, and we're gonna just see how that goes. So I'm planted that, try to get all the seeds back in here. I'll just hold it over here, and whatever falls off my hand will just fall into that row. So yes, this Chinese Toy Choy takes 35 days, and it's so good. Now I'm also planning to do, let me cover this up, cover these seeds up a little bit. And this is where I have my tomatoes on the other side. I have Swiss chard in behind. In front I have radishes growing. This is the great thing about having these raised beds. You can fit, and with also growing everything vertically, like having my tomatoes staked up here. I have peppers in here. I have on the other side, I have some hot peppers. These are a sweet pepper, it's a gypsy pepper. And then I'm planting in this Chinese Toy Choy. And like I say, that's the great thing about having the raised beds and doing vertical growing, is you can fit so much more into these beds. So I'm also planning to plant some more of the countryside spinach, and my sister gave me some of these sunburst hybrid, like a patty pan type of squash, and I'm going to be taking out my spinach, my red kitten spinach, over on the other side, because it's getting to the point where it needs to be pulled out. I'll give it to my chickens, and then I'm going to plant some of this sunburst squash over in there. I have the red kitten spinach, and it's just not developing the spinach like it was at the beginning. So I am actually going to just pull this one right out, root and all, just because I plan on planting something else in here. And I will be doing that starburst hybrid squash in here. And then I'm just going to give this to my chickens. And they will be so appreciative of getting this spinach. I gave them the Bloomsdale spinach that I pulled out yesterday. And of course they absolutely love that. And then I've got a little bit of this lettuce here, is the last of the Butter Crunch lettuce seed that I had. So I just planted it in behind. And by the time that this sunburst hybrid is ready to be picking that, this lettuce will actually be already picked and well on its way being finished for the year. So I am going to feed this to my pigs, throwing in some weeds as well. I'm going to feed this to my chickens, not my pigs. Feed this to my chickens, and actually I might end up taking out this countryside spinach as well, because it's getting quite the leaves aren't as big as it was when it was first growing. So I think I'll pull this one out too and give that to my chickens also. So we'll just pull this out. My chickens are gonna love this. Soon I'm gonna start, and it doesn't matter that I'm pulling out this spinach. I've been eating scrambled eggs with spinach in it and red onion every morning, and then I shake a little bit of nutritional yeast over top of my eggs after they're cooked, and it's been quite nice. So I have some kale that's almost ready to start picking some of its leaves off. Well, actually, it might be a couple more weeks before it's actually ready to start getting some harvest off of the kale. So just a little bit left here. In behind this spinach, I actually have, it's a red romaine, and soon I'll be able to start picking off. I can pick off some of these leaves, but it still has needs some more growing to go on here. Okay, so maybe what I'll do is I'll put the sunburst squash over on this side where I've just pulled out this countryside spinach, and I will put the countryside spinach over here where the red kitten spinach was. That's going to be the plan. So let's go feed this to the chickens. Then I've got my new chickens over on the other side. Okay, we're pretty happy about that. Okay, let's go back to doing some more planting. Just grab my little claw thing here and just mix this up a little bit. And this all has, I put all new compost in over my beds at the beginning of the year. So it's really nice. I'm gonna just scratch this up. And with the Sunburst hybrid, I'm not going to plant it in a row. I'm actually going to plant it more of in a mound, and I'll just push the seeds into the ground. So I'm actually going to scratch up a little bigger area, because in behind where I'm going to plant this Sunburst hybrid, I have my snap peas, and they have been growing up the top here. I'm just going to guide this through and let it carry on. And so I have all my, these are my pole snap peas that I have here. I have some little crunch snap peas over on the other side, and then these are my pole snap peas. So let me just get my Sunburst. Oh, I think I only have a few seeds in here. My sister gave me these seeds to try. Yeah, I got 3 seeds. So hopefully all of them take. And I'm just going to plant it more in the corner so that it can kind of, if it's going to grow, it can sprawl over the side over here. So I'm just going to push these 3 seeds in and cover them up a little bit. And then I'm going to find a little stick, and I'm just going to rip the bottom off of this pack, and then I'll stick this pouch over the stick, and then I'll know that that's what that is. There we go. And yeah, I'll just put it right in the middle of where I planted those seeds, and then I'll know that that's what that is. And then I'll plant my countryside spinach over on this side. So I'll grab that next. I just picked up this cute little, it's called a seed and sprout, little waste pouch thing for holding your seeds. I thought that was a pretty cute little thing to get. So just gonna make a little row here for my spinach. And I'm gonna space my seeds 1 inch apart. And then when they get growing, then I'm gonna space the plants out. It says 4 inches apart. So plant the seed 1 inch apart, space the plants 4 inches apart once they start growing. I don't think I did that when I planted these over there. I'm pretty sure I did not do that. So here we go. Second planting of the countryside spinach. Okay, what's next? I think we're gonna pick some beets. I have quite a few beets. I gave some, like I say, I gave some to my sister. I ended up giving my sister some of the cylinder beets, but I noticed there was still a couple more in there that needed to be picked. I have some Golden Detroit beets that need to be picked as well. And then what I think I want to do is roast myself some beets. I love roasted beets. This is the first picking that I've had from my beets, so let's go over and pick some beets. Pretty smoky out today, kind of hazy because of the smoke. So the sun's not quite as bright as it normally is. Last night we had family over for dinner, and we could hear all kinds of sirens going up the highway, and then Jamie heard the fire truck blaring up the highway as well. So I'm not sure if what the fire was about, but it is quite smoky out here today. So hopefully it's nothing too serious and that they got it under control. So yes, I want to thin out some of these beets. I'm just going to show you. Like, look at that. This is my cylinder beets, and I can use these beet greens. I can chop them up as well and saute them, so I can use the whole thing. I've got a couple more in here. And the reason why I have these beets already is because I planted these beets 5 weeks before my last frost. I actually did a video about what plants you could plant 5 weeks before your last frost. And the beets was one of them. So I'm making some room for my other beets. Just gonna knock some of this dirt off, because some of these beets are still kind of small, but these ones that I'm picking out are quite nice and pretty large actually. So that's awesome. Get this one. It's not quite as big, but it's just trying to make some room for the other ones. Now I'll pick one more, and then I have these bull's blood beets that are growing beside the cylinder beets, and I'll see what I have, if I have anything that could be picked. I'll look down at this end, because I planted these the same time that I planted the cylinder beets, all at the same time. And then I also did a planting of beets after. So here I've got, this is one of the bull's blood beets. I don't have very many of those, but look at these tops on here. They are just really nice, a really deep burgundy color. So nice. No, I think that's it for over on this side, and then we'll go over to where the golden Detroit beets are. I'm just going to fill in some of this area. Right, I've got a really nice big one here in the front. Like, that's beautiful. And like I say, the tops are really nice here too. So nice. And these as well, I planted these. I'm going to take this one out too, because I got a little one right beside it. But I didn't have very many golden Detroit beet seeds. So I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beets from the golden Detroit. And they're here in the baby beet side. There's one of my baby beets. Get that out. Making some room. There's another one. I was thinking I would use these baby beets for doing beet pickles. It's a good sized baby beet. Just making some room. That's a pretty good size. And the baby beets, I grew these also. I started these 5 weeks before my last frost. Like a bouquet of beet greens. Another one here on the end. And I'll pull this one out and this one. And I think that's good for now. There, that's a pretty nice little haul of beets. Take a look at these carrots too. These are the Damber half-long carrots. Been wondering how these are doing. Well, that's not too bad. I love carrots. And I like these Damber half-longs. These ones there's quite a few roots on these that are growing off of the carrots. Just pull those off and give it a try. That's really nice. Nice and sweet. But it could get a little bit bigger. Oh, that's really good. I also have to pick some more of my little crunch snap peas. I've been picking quite a bit off of those too, but you got to keep picking them, because then if you're picking them, it'll just keep producing more snap peas as well. So I noticed my pole beans that I planted in behind those snap peas, they're really starting to make their way up the panel as well. Oh, I was going to pick some kohlrabi too. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. Okay, give this to my chickens, then we'll pick some kohlrabi. Just wanted to show you, this is this front little row of little greens that's coming through. That's my third planting of the Chinese Toi Choy. And beside it is my rutabagas growing there. And then I did in the very front, I pulled out those hikuri salad turnips and I planted some more. So those are just sprouting through the ground as well. So let's come over here to where this is where I have the kohlrabi. And I've got my snippers out here. I've got one kohlrabi right in the front here. And all I'm going to do is I am going to try and snip this off. I might have to get my other tool. That's not going through it. Or maybe I'll just pull it out. I'm trying to just pull this one out, but there's a leaf from the plant beside it stuck to it. Let's get all this dirt off of it. And then what I'll do is I'll take off all these leaves and I will give all these leaves to the chickens too. So you just snap off these leaves. I might actually give these to the pigs. I was trying to just cut this root off and leave it in the ground, but these snippers just aren't strong enough to cut that root off. So that's a nice looking kohlrabi. I have another one in here too. Well, it's not quite as big, but there's one right here in the front. Let's pick this one out. Get all this dirt off the roots. And in behind the kohlrabi, I actually planted a little bit of annual bunching onions, and those are growing in behind. And then you can kind of see my beans in here, and they're making their way up the panel. And this is what I wanted the beans to do. I got one that's attached onto the peas. But yeah, making its way up the panel. So let's pull these leaves off. And with kohlrabi, you can just peel it and eat it raw, or you can cut it up into like matchsticks and put it into a stir fry. And it is so good in a stir fry as well. There's two. Let's take a look. See if there's any more big ones. You want to get them when they're this size, usually about the size of a tennis ball. That's when you want to be getting them and harvesting them at that size. Here, I noticed I have some little yellow pear tomatoes starting to form on my plants. I ended up pulling out the other yellow pear, and I ended up putting in an old German tomato plant, and we'll see. I mean, it's pretty small. We'll see if it has a chance to actually develop. I wanted to show you in back here. Look at my bouquet of beets. And in here, I have, there is, I don't know if you can see this. I have, right there, I have a little mashed potato squash forming on here. There's one on this one, and then there's another one on that plant in the back too. It's just really hard to see and get to. So that's pretty exciting. Haven't been successful with starting these seeds, and this was, I actually bought these two plants And then after I bought these two plants, I noticed that the seeds finally took. I was picking some Swiss chard and I noticed it back here. So in behind here, I have a little natural black cherry tomato forming on this one. They are growing really good, but I just noticed that little tomato there forming. And these gypsy peppers are starting to, there was a flower there and there's starting to have little buds. So there's a future pepper growing in there on this gypsy pepper. Borage is growing really nice, and once it gets flowering, that is a pollinator plant. It'll bring in lots of bees, and the bees will help pollinate the other flowers that we have here in the garden, whether it's the tomatoes or the squash or the cucumbers. They will help bring in the pollinators to be able to pollinate the other vegetables. I'm gonna push this through on this side, and if you'll notice, I've got some little baby cucumbers. They're coming in. I'm gonna move this one up as well and guide that through on this side so it'll keep going up this panel. It's pretty exciting. Oh, there's another little baby cucumber coming in. Pull that through there. And then here are all my baby beets that I've, well, they're not baby beets, but these are the ones that I have seeded. It's going to be just a later crop. Same with the carrots there, just going to be a later crop coming in. This here on my garlic, got some garlic scapes. So you can actually pick these off, chop them up, and add them into any type of a dish. It could be scrambled eggs. It could be added into some rice that you might be having. You could saute them up and add them into some rice. That will help make it so much more flavorful. I noticed here on my shishito peppers, I have a little shishito pepper growing here. There was a flower, now there's a pepper growing in there. And these are these shishitos. This is the seed that I got from my sister. She actually went to the States. She was in, where did they go? They went to Arizona, I think they went. And they went into Graceland and did a tour of Graceland. And when she was in there, she actually found some shishito peppers because we haven't been able to find them in our, when we're ordering or when we're looking around in the different stores that sell seeds, we haven't seen them at all. So it's kind of cool that she was able to get us a pack of the shishito peppers, and we'll see how that goes. I'm also going to start picking some of my lettuce. This is the gourmet mixed lettuce, and it's at that stage right now that I can start picking, and I'm just going to be picking out leaves as they grow, and then it'll just keep producing. Here is the Butter Crunch lettuce. It's almost ready to start picking the leaves. They just need to get a little bit bigger, and then I can start picking these leaves and having them as well. It's going to be so awesome. So yes, thanks for joining me along doing some harvesting and still doing planting as well, pulling stuff out, putting new stuff in. It's just ongoing and I absolutely love it. So thanks for joining me. If you like this video, throw a like in there, and if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.